Ever feel like you're just drowning in to-dos, emails, and just notifications, like you're constantly busy, but never seem to actually make any real progress?
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
Lots of people feeling that.
And that's exactly why we're diving into this concept of deep work today.
Yeah.
And trust me, this is way more than just your average productivity hack. It might just change how you think about work altogether.
Yeah, it really is fascinating how Cal Newport, he's the guy who kind of brought this idea to the forefront, right? How he defines deep work.
Right.
He doesn't just talk about working hard.
Right.
He emphasizes the ability to really focus without getting distracted on the tasks that demand like real brain power. It's about, quality over quantity. It's not just about how many hours you put in. It's about what you're actually doing during those hours.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's something, we could all use a little more of.
It's funny you should mention that.
Yeah.
Because I was reading about shallow work in one of the articles, and it's basically the opposite of deep work, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's all that time that we spend on things that feel productive on the surface, like those endless email chains.
Right.
Or getting lost in social media.
Yeah, just going down those rabbit holes, right?
Totally, exactly.
Shallow work is often disguised as productivity, but it rarely leads to any meaningful results.
Right.
And the scariest part is how easy it is to fall into that trap.
Oh, yeah.
You think you're being productive, but you're really just spinning your wheels.
Exactly. So deep work is like the antidote to all of that.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's a great way to put it.
It's about training your brain to focus.
Yeah.
And to actually get stuff done.
And it's not just about, getting things done. It's about changing the way your brain actually processes information.
Okay.
When you engage in deep work, you're actually strengthening your neural pathways.
Wow.
Related to like learning and skill development.
Okay.
So you learn faster, you master skills more quickly, and you produce higher quality work.
Okay, now that's what I call working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
And I bet that's why so many like really successful people swear by deep work.
Yeah.
I mean, but we're talking Bill Gates, J.K. Rowling.
Think about Bill Gates' Think Weeks. He would literally isolate himself for 2 weeks at a time. Just dedicated all his energy to reading, thinking, exploring new ideas.
Wow.
And what's remarkable is that some of Microsoft's most groundbreaking innovations came out of these intense periods of deep work. It wasn't just about escaping the office. It was about giving his mind the space it needed to truly innovate.
I remember reading that J.K. Rowling checked herself into a hotel room to finish the last Harry Potter book.
Yeah.
Talk about commitment.
That's dedication.
Yeah, distractions would kill her creativity. So she literally removed herself from the equation.
It's a key point, isn't it? Recognizing that deep work often requires creating those boundaries.
That's right.
Protecting their attention fiercely.
Yeah.
These aren't just quirky habits of famous people.
Yeah.
They're strategic choices.
Right.
They enable deep focus
Right.
and ultimately exceptional results.
So you're saying if I want those next level results, I need to start incorporating deep work into my life.
Absolutely.
Sign me up. But let's be real. How do we make this happen?
Yeah.
In a world that's constantly vying for our attention.
Right.
I mean, our phones are practically glued to our hands these days.
It's true. You're absolutely right. It's not easy.
Right.
But it's certainly not impossible.
Okay.
And the good news is that there are practical strategies we can implement to make deep work a reality, even in our, chaotic, hyper-connected world.
Okay.
It's about making deliberate choices, building habits that support focus, not distraction.
I like it.
Yeah.
So where do we even begin? Is there some sort of secret formula for deep work success?
There's no magic formula.
Right.
But there are definitely proven strategies that can help.
Okay.
One of the most important is creating what Cal Newport calls a deep work ritual.
Okay.
And it's about intentionally designing your environment and your habits to really prime your mind for focused work.
A deep work ritual. I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Sounds almost sacred. Like creating a special space for deep thinking.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it.
Okay.
It's about removing distractions, establishing boundaries, and signaling to your brain that it's time to enter that state of deep focus.
Okay.
So that might mean, finding a quiet spot where you won't be interrupted.
Right.
Turning off notifications, putting your phone on airplane mode.
Okay.
Or even using noise-canceling headphones.
So it's about more than just finding a quiet spot. It's about creating a whole atmosphere that's conducive to deep work.
Yeah, it's about setting the stage.
Okay. I can see how that would make a big difference.
Absolutely. And once you've set the stage, the next step is to structure your time in a way that supports deep work.
Okay.
And one of the most effective strategies for that is time blocking.
Time blocking.
Yeah.
I've heard that term thrown around, but I'm not entirely sure what it entails.
It's actually quite simple. Instead of just creating like a to-do list, you actually schedule specific blocks of time for deep work on those tasks.
Okay.
So instead of just writing work on project proposal,
Right.
you block out, say, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. specifically for that task.
So it's like making an appointment with your most important work.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about being proactive and intentional with your time.
Right.
Instead of just letting it slip away.
Okay.
And the beauty of time blocking is that it forces you to confront the reality of your schedule.
Right.
You know, we often overestimate how much we can actually get done in a day.
Oh, for sure.
But when you actually block out the time for deep work,
Right.
you become much more realistic about your capacity.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all comes together.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, the idea of going from like 0 to 4 hours of deep work a day seems a bit daunting.
Sure.
Where do you even start with that?
You're right. It's not about going from 0 to hero overnight.
Right.
It's about gradually building up those deep work muscles. In fact, Newport recommends starting with just 1 hour per day.
Okay.
And slowly increasing it as you get more comfortable.
So it's like any other skill. You have to practice consistently and gradually increase the intensity.
Exactly. And even 1 hour of truly focused work can be more productive than an entire day of scattered effort.
Wow.
You'll be amazed at how much you can accomplish when you eliminate those distractions and give your full attention to the task at hand.
You mentioned distractions earlier, and I think that's something we all struggle with.
For sure.
To some extent, how does multitasking fit into the deep work equation?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of us, sort of pride ourselves on our ability to juggle multiple things at once.
It's a common misconception that multitasking makes us more efficient.
Okay.
In reality, research has shown that multitasking can actually decrease our efficiency by up to 40%.
Wow, okay.
Our brains just simply aren't wired to effectively focus on multiple complex tasks at the same time.
Okay.
When we try to do too many things at once, we end up doing all of them poorly.
So focusing on one thing at a time is actually the key to getting more done.
I know, it seems counterintuitive.
Right?
But it's true.
It makes sense when you think about it.
It does go against the grain of our, always-on culture.
Right.
But the science is clear.
Okay.
And this leads us to another, perhaps surprising element of deep work.
Okay.
Embracing boredom.
Embracing boredom. Now that sounds like a challenge.
I know, right?
I feel like we are constantly bombarded with stimulation these days.
It's true. We've become so accustomed to that constant stimulation that we've lost the ability to simply be, we reach for our phones at the slightest hint of boredom.
Right.
But this constant need for distraction is actually weakening our focus muscles.
So you're saying that by constantly seeking out those distractions, we're actually making it harder for ourselves to focus when we actually need to.
It is, but it's also empowering because it means we can actually change those habits.
Right.
Think of it this way. Embracing boredom is like training your brain for a marathon, not a sprint.
Okay.
The more you practice tolerating those moments of quiet, the better you'll be at sustaining that focus for longer periods.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
Like creating that ritual, the time blocking, embracing boredom. It's all about intentionally designing our lives to actually support deep work.
Exactly.
But I imagine there are some common pitfalls
Oh, yeah.
that people fall into
For sure.
when they're first trying to implement these strategies.
One of the biggest mistakes is expecting instant results.
Right.
Building deep focus takes time and consistent effort.
Right.
It's not a quick fix, it's a lifestyle change.
So patience is key.
Absolutely.
Got to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
Not just looking for that temporary productivity boost. What other mistakes should we be aware of?
Another common pitfall is failing to eliminate distractions ruthlessly.
Okay.
It's not enough to just turn off notifications.
Right.
We have to be proactive about actually identifying and removing anything that might pull our attention away.
Okay, so like that urge to check email every 5 minutes or scroll through social media.
Yeah, or, you hit a snag in your work and you just want to
Yeah.
get that little dopamine hit.
Exactly. I'm definitely guilty of that.
We all are. It's like a reflex now.
It is.
But one strategy that I found really helpful is to keep a distraction journal.
Okay.
And whenever something pulls your focus away, jot it down
Okay.
and immediately get back to work.
Okay.
This helps you become more aware of those patterns
Right.
and train your mind to stay on track.
It's such a simple and brilliant idea.
Yeah.
I can see how that would be so helpful for identifying those sneaky distractions that we often don't even realize are derailing our focus.
Exactly. They sneak up on you.
Any other advice for avoiding those deep work pitfalls?
One more I'd mention is overloading your schedule.
Okay.
Deep work requires mental space and energy.
Right.
And if you're constantly booked back to back with meetings and commitments,
Right.
it's tough to find that time and mental energy for deep focus.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's not just about finding the time, it's about protecting your energy as well. We can't expect to do our best deep work if we're already mentally exhausted.
Exactly. And finally, remember to take breaks.
Okay.
Even the most focused minds need time to recharge.
Right.
It's not about pushing yourself to the point of burnout.
Right.
It's about finding a sustainable rhythm that allows you to work deeply
Right.
without sacrificing your well-being.
Speaking of breaks, are there any specific strategies you recommend for making the most of those breaks?
One popular and effective method is the Pomodoro technique,
Okay.
and it involves working for 25 minutes straight, followed by a 5-minute break.
Okay.
And after 4 cycles, you take a longer break of like 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
This structured approach can really help maintain focus and prevent burnout.
That sounds very manageable. I like it.
Yeah,
Work hard, take breaks, repeat.
exactly.
We've covered so much in this deep dive, and I feel like I have a whole new understanding of what deep work really is.
Yeah.
And why it's so important. Any final words of wisdom?
Deep work isn't a magic bullet,
Right.
but it is a skill that you can cultivate.
Okay.
Start with small, deliberate steps.
Right.
Be patient with yourself and watch as your productivity, creativity, and even your sense of accomplishment begin to transform.
Beautifully said. And remember, you are not alone in this.
We're all in this together.
You're all battling distractions in this modern world.
That's right.
Let's support each other on this journey to deeper focus and more meaningful work.
Absolutely.